Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillahi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in wa ba'd. So this is lesson number 8 from what I entitled it, the reflective poem by Firaas, which is actually known as Al-Ba'iyah, and that's because the qafiyah ends with ba. So you see like dubabu, kilabu, janabu, qibabu, hirabu, wa kilabu, wa babu, tsabu. So the last letter is a ba. So this always goes based on this is called the qafiyah. So all right, picking up where we left off in the last from the last lesson. So he said, فعن أي عذر إن دعوا ودعيتم أبيتم بني أعمامنا وأجابوا. So he said, فعن أي عذر, what's your excuse? إن دعوا ودعيتم, that they were called and you were called. And of course, this is talking about for assistance, like with the fighting and all the problems that are going on. So what excuse do you have that these people were called and you were called abaytum, but you guys refused? Bani Amina, you my cousins, but ajabu, and they answered the call. So it's like, what's your excuse for that? So here he's like now rebuking his family because of an event that occurred where the other people came to their assistance, but his own family refused to help out. And that's what he's saying. فَنَأَيِّ عُذْرٍ إِن دُعُوا وَدُعِيتُمُوا Abaytum, it comes from the word aba. All right, and even though it comes from the word aba, the fi'l mudari' is ya'ba, which is, as we know generally with the word, if it has a alif maksura in the madi, then it takes a ya. It becomes like, for example, you say like jara. Jara is a good example. Jara yajri. All right, because if it has ya, it's like radiya, and then in the fi'l mudari it becomes yarada. Then it changes to alif maksura in the mudari. So here aba ya'ba, it stays the same in the madi and the mudari. And aba, it means to refuse. And it came in a hadith of Abi Hurairah radiallahu anhu, where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Kullu ummati yadkhuluna al-jannata illa man aba." And that all of my nation will enter Jannah illa man aba. And then they said, "Man ya'ba ya Rasulullah?" Who's gonna refuse ya Rasulullah? Because man a'ta'ani dakhala Jannah wa man asani faqad aba. So he said, whoever obeys me, he will enter into Jannah, and whoever disobeys me, then he has refused. Faqad aba. So this is the aba, it means to refuse. So he said that you refused to answer the call. And that's what he's talking about. And like what udhr is your excuse. Alright, i'tadara, it means to make an excuse. I'tadara, to what? To make an excuse. So you say like an udhr du'u wa du'itumu abaytum, you refuse bani a'mamina wa ajabu. So ajaba, obviously ajaba, for answering the call. And then he said after that, he said وما أدعي ما يعلم الله غيره رحاب علي للعفاة رحاب. Alright, so the first part where he said وما أدعي, أدعى, it means to claim. Alright, it means here to claim, to make a claim. Alright, this is أدعى. Alright, يدعي. So he said ما أدعي ما يعلم الله غيره. He said I don't claim to know that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that which he knows. And then he said غيره, other than it, that what's known is true. So he said I don't make this claim that I know what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows. He's basically talking about the unseen and what's going to happen and all these. And then he switches and said rihabu aliyin lil ufati rihabu. And the word rihab is like an open part, a courtyard or something. Like if they had a courtyard in the older types of masajid where they had this open courtyard inside the bigger structures, it was called rihab al-masjid. So the rihab is like the open area where like the king or the person in authority would sit, and people can come to him and talk to him, voice their complaints, or ask for whatever they needed, or whatever the situation was. So he said rihabu aliyin. And he's referring to his cousin Saifullah, because that's his actual name. Saifullah is a laqab, but his actual name is Ali ibn Abi al-Hijat ibn Hamdan ibn al-Harith and his Sayf al-Dawla is his the laqab that he's given, but his name is Ali. So he said, Rihabu Aliyin. Rihabu Aliyin lil-Ufati. Urfat can also has the meaning of dhuyuf, the people that come to him, and of course the guests of the person in authority are generally people, like I said, they're coming to ask him for something, or to complain, voice a complaint against maybe some officials or something that happened. So he said, Rihabu Ali lil-Ufati Rihabu. And he's repeating the word because it showed that they're wide open for the people. And he's showing the generosity of his cousin, because now he's praising his cousin Sayf al-Dawla to show that that's his nature. That's how he is, that he opens up, everything is wide open for the people. Anybody that has anything that they're seeking or want to talk about or complain about, all of his courtyard is wide open for the people. Now when they translate this as courts, they don't mean like a court, like a mahkama, like a court of law, but it's a courtyard, all right, a courtyard where the people come, and he'll be sitting in the shaded part, and the people can come and like I said, voice their complaints or anything or any issues that they have. And then he went on to say, وَأَفْعَالُهُ لِلرَّاغِبِينَ كَرِيمَةٌ وَأَمْوَالُهُ لِلطَّالِبِينَ نِهَابُ. So وَأَفْعَالُهُ, and it's going back to Sayf al-Dawla, because again, like I said, now he's going into praising. Now he's going to start praising his cousin. Now he said, وَأَفْعَالُهُ لِلرَّاغِبِينَ. The raghib is a person who desires something, and this comes from raghba. A raghba is a desire. So when they come into him because they desire something from him, some type of, generally generally they're asking for something, either because maybe they want money or food. That's the general thing. But sometimes it's complaints and other things. But this is what he's saying. وَفْعَالُهُ لِلرَّاغِبِينَ كَرِيمَةٌ. And karimatun, that he gives with generosity. Anything that the people ask for, he gives with generosity, and he doesn't hold back from the people. And he's showing that what he's trying to say about his cousin is that he's a just ruler. He's a just ruler, and he's praising him for this. And obviously, because at the same time, he's seeking his assistance, and although he voices anger about being refused to be taken out of prison, at that time he still wants to show his praise of his cousin, even though at that time he's kind of disgruntled with the behavior, and his cousin, he felt like his cousin turned his back on him, but he still wants to show that he still has love for him, right? So he said, وَفْعَالُهُ لِلرَّاغِبِينَ كَرِيمَةٌ وَأَمْوَالُهُ لِلطَّالِبِينَ نِهَابُ. So the word here, all right, so he said وَأَمْوَالُهُ, of course his wealth is money, لِلطَّالِبِينَ, for the people seeking it, نِهَابُ. Nihabu, it comes from the word nahaba, and nahaba, it means to take something, to rob somebody, take something by force. This is the word nahaba. In war, obviously, because of the fighting, then you have what you have, a nahab. A nahbu is a ghanima. Now, a nahab can be something that's taken by force, either through robbery or a strong arm robbery, whatever the case may be, but it can also mean al ghanima. And that's what he means here. It's like, his wealth is like a ghanima for the people. It's like a nihabu that he dispenses it amongst the people. He doesn't keep anything for himself. And this is what he's saying. It's just about his generosity, and he's praising him for this type of generosity that he has. That no matter what the people come and ask from him, he gives it to them. And he gives it to them. Because it's just showing like how just of a person he is, and how generous he is, and how he always does everything he can to look out for the people and their needs. And now he's gonna flip the script, I guess you could say, because it's generally whenever you want to say something harsh against somebody, what do you do first? You praise them first, right? I mean, it's not really harsh what he's about to say to him, but he's gonna express like his feelings. So he said, ولكن نبأ منه بكفي صارم وأظلم في عيني منه شهاب. So the first thing he said, ولكن نبأ منه. All right, here it is let me explain the first part first, and then I'll come back to this. It's easier to understand. He said, وَلَكِنْ نَبَأْ مِنْهُ بِكَفَّيَّ صَارِمٌ. Sarim is a sword, like a sharp sword. All right, so yeah, it said, I had a sword in the palm, like kef obviously is the palm. So in my hands I had a sword, and in my hands, bikafaya, بكفي صارم. So in my hand I had a sword, and and I basically swung the sword at him, and nabat minhu. Nabat minhu, it means that it didn't hit the mark. It kind of like, kind of like glanced off of him. It didn't hit him. And obviously he's not talking about literally, and this is a metaphorical thing, like, because he threw some strong words against him, but they didn't hit the target with him. They kind of like glanced off of him. So because the harsh words, he just, because he's not going to take them. I mean, they're cousins, right? So because of them being family, he's not going to take the words like, oh my God, like his destruction. Like, I can't believe that he would say this about me. So it just kind of like glanced. He just kind of like threw it to the side. Abu Firaas got angry. He's in prison. It's understandable that he's not going to be very excited about his situation. So his words, they weren't like a direct hit to his cousin. And then he said, وَلَكِنْ نَبَأْ مِنْهُ بِكَفِّيَ صَارِمٌ وَأَظْلَمَ فِي عَيْنَيَّ مِنْهُ شِهَابُ. And shihab is like a meteorite, all right? And it's like a meteor. وَأَظْلَمَ, it means to become like dark. فِي عَيْنَيَّ, so like it became dark in my eyes. Like a meteor that was shot from him was like dark in my eyes, because the pain that I felt, and the pain that got inflicted from him rejecting me and rejecting what I was asking him for, it was like that meteor, hitting me, where it's like I threw a blow at him and it just glanced off of him, but he shot a meteor at me and it, just darkened my eyes. So this, he's basically saying like what was done to him was worse than what he, his anger and his voicing of his complaints against Saifullah, because that just glanced off of Saifullah, because in the end, Saifullah is free. He's doing things politically. There was a reason why he didn't trade the person that the Romans wanted for Abu Firaas, because he wanted all of his people free. He didn't just want Abu Firaas free. He wanted all of his soldiers free. So that he was trying to work out a deal to get everybody free. And even if it took a longer time, so he's like telling Abu Firaas, you have to be patient. So that rejection, that was stronger to Abu Firaas than any types of words that Abu Firaas could have said to his cousin. And that's what he's saying here. Like his blows, Abu Firaas had a sharp sword, but it just glanced off of him. And he shot a meteor at him, and that was a painful thing. So inshallah, we'll stop with this for today, inshallah. The poem, like right now, he's going back and forth about his cousin. But alhamdulillah, we're getting towards the end of the poem. So, like right now, this was just line 33 that we just finished. And we got 45, so we got 12 more lines to go, inshallah. So it's going to get a lot deeper, inshallah. So be patient, inshallah. إلهنا سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.